All right, so what is up, everyone? So today we're talking about mixed grip and hook grip, and just the differences between both of them, and which one you should use, and the pros and cons about it. So, kind of just putting this in the simplest terms of what they each are. Mixed grip is just a grip where you have one hand over and then one hand under. It gives you a very secure position, and it's not very hard to pick up. It doesn't have a learning curve or anything like that. So that's why you see a lot of people using mixed grip. Then moving on to hook grip is just with both hands over, but instead you are not gripping it in the usual way. You would hook it like this with, usually you have your index and your middle finger just hooked around that thumb to give you that very secure position. All right, so moving on to the pros and cons, we'll be starting off with mixed grip. Like I already said, it's just very easy. It also gives you a very secure position. There's not a learning curve to it, and it just doesn't fatigue your grip as much. Going into the cons though, there's a couple here, but primarily we're starting off with just people being scared of bicep tears with that mixed grip, with having that underhand. That is very uncommon unless you are a puller that pulls on a deadlift bar. If you are one of those people, not to be like fear monger, but it's just the truth, and just the stats behind it is that you will just have an increased chance of tearing a bicep, because if you're pulling mixed with that underhand and there's a deadlift bar that has that whip to it, it could cause a bicep tear. It's more common. I'm not saying it is a certain thing. It could just never happen to you if you do pull mixed with a deadlift bar. But it's just a more common thing with the deadlift bar. In terms of deadlift bars, it rarely happens. If it ever did happen on a deadlift, on a stiff bar, then that's probably just loading on more than you can actually handle, and just not managing that well. So yeah. Another con is just being another minor one, being just the imbalances in your traps or your back, which honestly, it's very minor. And if you're one of those people that still don't like those imbalances, even if they are very minor, just switching the over and underhand just works fine, and just kind of just not letting those imbalances happen. So it's not a very major thing. It's a very easy fix. Lastly, probably the biggest one, that being only for the sumo pullers, that you will have increased drag at your thigh with that underarm. It's happened to me. You can see it happen a lot. It will get caught and it'll just won't slide up. It gets that drag, and it throws you off, or it will just make you fail a lift. It's happened to me before, like I said. So yeah, that's about the cons of it. Moving on to just hook grip. So moving to the pros and cons of hook grip, like I mentioned before, with that hook grip, you will not have as much drag at the thigh. So, which is a good thing, you don't want any of those lifts getting thrown off or anything like that, or failing because of that one thing. So yeah, another is just, it also is very secure. If you do get it down, you will have a very secure position, and it's very helpful. Another one being, just for me personally, what I've felt with hook grip, and also just with my athletes that I've coached that do pull hook grip, is just having a more natural feel with pulling. Just your leverage is feeling just a lot more natural than it would with mixed grip. All right, so now moving on to the cons of hook grip. That just being that, one, like I said, it's gonna take more of a learning curve. For me personally, it took me a couple weeks to kind of just feel very confident and feel very natural with that hook grip. And that does play a part into it. Kind of just okay, how much time do you really have here? If you're one of those people that you're about to go into competition and you're okay, do I really want to go do this right now? Test it out with hook. I would not recommend it, because you also need that okay, I know I can do that, and it's going to take you a while to kind of really get to that point. And then now moving on to another con, being just the grip fatigue that it's going to take out on you. Yeah, so like I said, this grip is going to take a lot more out of you than mixed ever would. It's going to take out a lot of your thumbs and stuff like that. So managing your grip fatigue is very important in this case. For me personally, just being that I just pull my primary top sets hook grip, and that's it. Everything else I either strap up or pull mixed. I pull mixed on some of my back downs. But yeah, and then in the case of some of my athletes, they will just pull. They'll do the same as me, or we'll do that secondary day top set also hook, and that's about it. Just to not overly fatigue the grip. And then just another one of those cons also just being that if you're one of those people that does not have very long thumbs and stuff like that, or just fingers in general, then this will probably be very hard for you to pick up if you even can. If I would say if you're past like a month and you've been trying to use it and you feel you've just been having problems with that grip and it's been slipping and stuff like that, then I would not recommend, going to full on change to that hook grip. All right, so now moving on to answer the question of this video is, should you pull mixed or should you pull hook? So starting off with hook, I definitely recommend it if you are a conventional puller, as you don't have that biggest negative out of pulling mixed grip, being that the thigh drag that sumo pullers get when they do pull mixed grip. That is not saying that if you are a sumo puller, you need to pull hook grip. If your mixed grip does feel better than your hook grip and you've already tested around with that, then yeah, stay with the hook grip if you feel that is better. Because like I said, there's just some people who pull sumo and they just, they don't have very long thumbnails or fingers, and they just can't have that very secure hook grip. And, if you're one of those people who has experimented with hook grip and you find just your grip being a constant problem with that, then yeah, stick with hook. So now, yeah, moving on to hook grip. Like I said, if you're a sumo puller, I would definitely recommend it. Again, if you're one of the sumo pullers that can't, then stick with a mixed grip. But it does minimize that thigh drag, and that is a very good thing. And same goes for conventional pullers in this case. If you are a conventional puller and you feel just stronger with hook grip and grip is not an issue and your leverages just feel a lot more natural, then yeah, stick with it. Stick with hook grip. Again, just manage that hook grip well so it doesn't overly fatigue, and you should be completely fine. Lastly, I mentioned this earlier, but again, it's not to fearmonger, but just the truth behind it, and just if you are a athlete that does compete in a federation with a deadlift bar, you should probably at least try to pull hook and see just how that feels. Does it feel good? Go back to the mix. That's fine. Like I said, it's not a common thing, but it's just more likely with that deadlift bar. I mean, if you've seen any federation with deadlift bars, most of their guys pull hook, no matter if they're conventional or sumo, kind of just to minimize that risk right there. So yeah, and this does not apply to stiff bars. This if you are in a federation with a stiff bar, then you're fine to do whatever you want. I mean, the reason being, just the whip that the deadlift bar gets, that doesn't happen with a stiff bar, so it's completely fine. So yeah, if you're one of those people, then for sure try experimenting with that hook grip just to see if that works or not. All right, so finally, to end off this video, this is not a definitive guide. This is not universal. Everyone is different in their own ways. So I do encourage you to go out and experiment with both grips and see what works better for you. This is kind of just for those people who kind of want to lay out of just, okay, well, this is what works and what doesn't, and this is that. But in the end, I do encourage everyone to just try and see. If you're one of those people who just got into lifting, you're like, okay, I want to see which grip I should use. Try both. See what works better for you. If you're a competitor and you're wondering, oh, should I pull hooks? Do you think that would be better for me? Go and find out. I kind of just made this video to kind of just help and see, like, okay, this is what you're gonna you're getting into if you pull one of these grips, and all that stuff, and kind of just what to expect out of that. I can't make one single video and that apply to everyone, because that's not the way we are built. Me even being that case where I said earlier, if you have very short fingers or short thumbs, I would not recommend pulling hook. That does not mean you shouldn't. I'm one of those people who have very short thumbs and very short fingers, but I still pull hook because it feels like my stronger grip, and I have no grip issues with that, so I'm sticking with that. You know, it feels better than my mixed grip, so I do that. So yeah, I encourage you to see what works for you. You know, maybe this video does perfectly outline who you are and what works better for you, then that's great. But I still do encourage to go and find out what works and what doesn't, because you know that you are still collecting that data for yourself, and you're like, okay, this benefits me and this doesn't. You know what I'm saying? You know, it doesn't hurt to try to see what works and what doesn't. So at the end of the day, just watch the video, say, okay, this is what one is gonna get me into and one isn't, and then just kind of go out and see, okay, this is what I want to try, and you know, all this stuff. Besides that, that's about it for today. So yeah, just go out and, you know, try to see what works best for you. That's what I always want to encourage.